So let me get this straight. The US launches tariffs, screams America first, blocks Canadian goods, and now they are upset because Canadians are buying Canadian products. You honestly cannot make this up. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we talk about Canada, the US, trade, economics, and calling out nonsense when we see it. And if you've been enjoying the content and want to support the work I put into researching these stories, there's a buy me a coffee link over there. Because today's story is about audacity, it's about hypocrisy, and it's about American distillers suddenly discovering the concept of fair trade only after it stopped working in their favor.
Remember all the way back in March when Ontario responded to tariffs by removing U.S. alcohol? Remember that? BC also followed suit. Nova Scotia followed suit. Remember all that? Americans came out and was laughing at us, saying we don't need anything from Canada and this will have zero effect on America. Remember all that? Now from March, all the way back from March till this point, you started hearing little rumblings from U.S. distilleries, U.S. officials, saying what Canada's doing is not right. Right? We're being unfair. Right? You hear that all the time. And for good reason too. Because even in CUSMA, you heard the U.S. are demanding that Canada put U.S. alcohol back on the shelf, and for good reason. Because recently you've been seeing reports like this: Jim Beam to close one of its distilleries for a year. And I've heard all the excuses. Oh, Jim Beam has priced people out of being able to afford their alcohol. I've heard it all. But then you hear things like historic Kentucky bourbon distillery goes dark after Canada takes revenge over U.S. tariffs. And yes, they are referring to Jim Beam. And then you hear reports of another U.S. liquor brand files Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And obviously, this comes right back to us because groups of U.S. distilleries complains LCBO other provinces favoring local alcohol. Well, no, obviously. A group of U.S. alcohol producers claim Canadian retailers are giving unfair advantage to local spirits. Yeah, I can see that. Including what it's called discriminatory markups in Nova Scotia and other provinces. Now, I don't know if that's true, but even if it is, and remember all that alcohol they pulled off the shelf? Well, you might be asking, where's all that alcohol? Well, technically, it's in storage. 3.2 million in U.S. alcohol is in storage. And it's rumored that Nova Scotia and Manitoba is selling their stock to charity. And Doug Ford said that he was looking into doing the exact same as well. So it doesn't really look like Canada is planning on buying and selling more U.S. alcohol. So I'm guessing the crying will continue. Until next time.
So unfortunately, more bad news for the U.S. economy, specifically in regards to distillery. Another U.S. distillery has been destroyed by the Canadian boycott of U.S. liquor. A.M. Scott Distilleries in Ohio, whose biggest export market was Canada, has gone into bankruptcy. They previously provided whiskey, gin, vodka, and also bourbon in small batches, which were exported to Canada. However, unfortunately, the company has now this week gone into bankruptcy. Also, Trump's tariffs have increased the amount of money they have to pay on bottles and also paper and logistics. So unfortunately, Donald Trump's policies for alienating and isolating Canada with his trade policy is failing and hurting his own people.
A group of US distillers is now complaining that Nova Scotia and other Canadian provinces are favoring local alcohol. This comes after provinces like Nova Scotia, Ontario, and others made moves to promote Canadian-made beer, wine, and spirits, especially as trade tensions with the US continue. Let that sink in. The same country that proudly ran America First policies, the same country that slapped tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminium, lumber, dairy, and energy, the same country that literally told the world, buy America or else, is now shocked that Canadians are buying Canadian.
From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. This is America first. It's now America first. Put America first. Always put America first. I could never help it.
This is where the hypocrisy really shows, because when the US favors American products, it's called patriotism. When Canada favors Canadian products, suddenly it's unfair trade. When American states push made in American procurement laws, nobody blinks. When Canadian provinces support local distillers, breweries, and wineries, suddenly it's a scandal. No, that's not how it works.
No room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
Starting today, LCBO, the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world, will begin removing U.S. products from its store shelves. And as the exclusive wholesaler, American brands will no longer be available in LCBO catalog, meaning other retailers, bars, and restaurants in the province will no longer be able to restock U.S. products.
Here in BC, we support a strong Team Canada approach to stand up to Donald Trump. For our first of many steps, effective today, I have directed BC liquor sales to immediately stop buying American liquor from red states. Liquor store employees will be removing the most popular of these brands from government store shelves. I have directed government and our crown corporations, like BC Hydro, ICBC, and health authorities, to immediately stop buying American goods and services and buy Canadian.
Today, we're announcing that we're pulling $80 million out of the American economy, and that's just little old Manitoba. So I'm asking you to buy Canadian beer and to buy Canadian wine and Canadian liquor as part of us sticking up for our jobs and sticking up for our economy.
What we are doing here today in Newfoundland and Labrador is we're removing American products from the shelves across Newfoundland and Labrador.
Let's be very clear here. This didn't start in Canada. The US chose tariffs. The US chose protectionism. The US chose to weaponize trade. From steel and aluminium to lumber and agriculture, Canadian industries were hit first, despite decades of partnership and integrated supply chains. Canada didn't ask for a trade war, but Canada adapted. And adaptation looks like this: supporting local jobs, supporting local businesses, supporting Canadian producers. That's not retaliation, that's resilience. Here's the part they don't want to say out loud. Canadian consumers are choosing Canadian products, not because they are forced to, but because they want to. People read labels now. People ask where their money is going. People remember who hit first. And once consumers change habits, that's hard to reverse. This isn't just about whiskey or bourbon. It's about market share. It's about influence. It's about losing a market you took for granted. This story fits a larger pattern we are seeing globally. The US uses economic pressure as a tool, then gets upset when countries diversify, decouple, or defend themselves. Canada is doing what every smart country does when the rules suddenly changes: protect its economy, reduce vulnerability, and strengthen domestic industries. You don't get to shout America first for years and then cry foul when other countries put themselves first too. Trade wars don't come with immunity. If you start them, you don't get to complain about the consequences. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this hypocrisy or just economic reality? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you want to support the channel directly, the Buy Me a Coffee link is in the description. So YouTube thinks you will like this video over here. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Over.